Hey guys, what's up? This is episode 19 of Delta Halo, almost to the big 2-0. I can't believe we're doing this for as long as we have. But I'm your host, Sergeant. We got MattyIce over there, as always. And if you're watching us on YouTube and you don't know who that other good-looking guy is, that is James Fury. He's our special guest this week. Thank you so much for taking the time. How are things going for you today?
Thanks for having me. No, they're going great. Really appreciate you guys having me. It's amazing to see these opportunities come up as the Pro Battle League grows, and I couldn't be more excited to share this night with you guys.
Awesome. So usually when we kick off the episodes, we like to talk about what we've been playing for the past week, what games we got into, if there's anything new, something that you're really just kind of grinding on that, you know, maybe just popped up, or it's Halo, as we like to talk about all the time. So what have you been up to lately? What have you been playing?
So the Pro Battle League has an affiliate organization called Lightning Strike Gaming Community, and they do Hearthstone, which I don't play, and only because I know I would be consumed. I have a deeply rooted background in Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and all that stuff. And I don't have that much of my soul to give anymore.
Yep.
And other than that, I have been playing Rocket League, which has kept some of my friends ever since the shooty Halo has begun and the tryhardness has kind of come out. I keep in touch with a lot of my friends through those awesome indie games like Rocket League, and iDarb is my other go-to. Accepting challengers, by the way. Not for Rocket League. Not that good. iDarb, though.
Matty, what about you? What have you been playing?
I played a little bit of Halo this week, a little bit of Division. I think that was pretty much it for me as far as that goes. I was pretty skinny on gaming this past week, but we got a little bit of Halo in, tried out some big team battle, new maps, and all that good stuff. So I think that was about it.
Yeah, those new maps are awesome. We'll get into those in a little bit, but God, I'm just so excited for 343 to be bringing in some more big team battle maps, because we've been seeing on Reddit and Twitter, like everywhere, people are starting to post all these awesome community-made maps, and now they're starting to bring them in. It's so awesome. It's bringing so much more new life. It's just bringing new life into the game.
And rebirthing old life. If you ever jump onto twitch.tv/Pro Battle League, on Thursday nights we do scrims between the cities and the teams that we've set up, which is for the past couple months primarily been Seattle versus Eastern Seattle and versus Portland. But at the end of almost every show, if we have a little bit of time left over, we'll jump over from spectate mode, and I'll grab the controller and we'll bring up a custom game on the remake of Pit, and we'll do flag. And it just brings me back.
Oh God, I haven't seen that yet. Is that one? That one's like true to form.
So good, so good. It's kind of hard. So the only impossible thing is you can't jump out of your flag onto plat. Like you remember the jump boxes when MLG introduced, like, you should be able to get out of your own base if you're stuck in here, just up the ramp and around. So you can do it. It's a trick jump, which I think is a little bit obnoxious. But yeah, I've definitely fumbled a few flags on that jump.
God, so many memories on the Pit. So many memories.
Love it. The green box jump. Oh God.
I just every time I think about that map, I think about everyone sprinting for rockets right off the start, just chucking as many grenades as you can.
Those grenades.
Trying to get rocks.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, like arrows blocking out the sun.
Oh yeah, exactly. Absolutely. But for myself, I've been playing the Halo, a lot of the big team battle stuff. I was going pretty hard tonight with Cat before we hopped on. He's not able to join us tonight. He's got a lot of work coming up this week with his car salesman end of the month. It's tough for him, so he can't get the time for us this week. But yeah, I mean, we're playing some big team battle, and yeah, like you said, Matty, I was playing some Division with you guys earlier in the week, and really been enjoying that game. I know it didn't get really the best reviews, and Endgame seems to be kind of where it's at, especially when they start to release some new content. But I've really enjoyed that game. I know this. I mean, I've just really dove into the story as much as some people might not enjoy it. I think the story's been fun. There is some repetition, but I think the customization, the crafting, the game is just so deep. It's a lot of fun to just get lost in that environment.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So we talked a lot last week about Roster Mania. The HWC, the World Championships ended. CLG took home the $1 million. And we talked a lot about what could potentially happen. And some stuff has happened so far. I was following along on the Team Beyond forums. If you guys haven't been on there, definitely check that out. That is where so much of that intel gets dropped. There's a lot of pros popping in there. And even if you're not on there, a lot of them kind of talk about here and there on their streams. But let's just kind of roll through a little bit of what's happened so far, just kind of the bigger stuff. So, Counter Logic Gaming hasn't changed. Why would they? They just won, the big money. No one's even close to them right now. So they're staying exactly the same. I got to say, I think the biggest kind of drama, if you want to call it that, is with Allegiance and everyone kind of separating from that team. And a lot of the conversation that came up around UNEDITED on Twitter with him kind of being, he called it backstabbing. I don't want to call it that with the note that came out from the owner of the Allegiance organization, but they're starting to build a team around L-Town. And, I think that's definitely an interesting step forward. It's tough to see a vet like UNEDITED not being built around, but it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. He's a free agent, now, so free to get picked up by another organization. And, I love UNEDITED. You can't not like him.
Yeah, persistence. Persistence is the definitely the word you think of when you think of UNEDITED. And
yeah, he's got to be. What is it? 15 years he's been competing.
Yep, that's definitely the drama that everybody talks about, and I'm sure that it was a rough night's rest after getting another second place finish. Like, he just wants that gold. But I think that that's one of the really important messages to Halo 5 is there's been so many players and there's been so many teams already. I think that the Halo World Championships went the way they were supposed to. If everybody actually made their cards out, it went almost, I would say, the way the majority was going to vote.
Yeah.
But not every game in the preseason. And if you look at the X Games and every game before that, there were teams that stepped it up, that really that were able to take down like a lot of David and Goliath stories, which is awesome to see from, in my personal opinion, for the Halo franchise, because you look back in the days of Halo 2 where you couldn't beat Final Boss, and even Halo 3 that once the good kids were established, you couldn't take them down. But now we're seeing a lot younger talent coming into the circuit and a lot of teams really kind of being formed and being able to take down some of those legacy teams.
Yeah, so, you haven't been on any previous episodes, obviously, but we talked a lot, and I know the conversation throughout the community, a lot about denial. And, you got the new kids, Boo Boo and Hook, especially Hook coming over from Call of Duty. God, that young talent coming in, that has to open so many doors for other kids to just come into the game.
Yep, those reflexes I was telling you earlier.
Gosh. you can't compete once you get past was it like 23, 24, it starts to fail on you a little bit.
I like to look at, so they say 25 is when your brain stops fully developing, and then you kind of have like a simmer off by until 30, and that's all like the wisdom and stuff. I still say that I play Halo a lot smarter than the young kids that I coach. But when I go up to them in 1v1 battles, or just that really spur of the moment, being able to control yourself, they definitely excel there. It's just a chess game once you get to a certain, I think once it gets to a certain age, and that's what it's really exciting to teach these new kids and really see how they can take, how fast they absorb it. Those, that saying, young minds are like sponges, and combining, the skills on the sticks with some of these strategic moves that the old guys might be able to teach them.
No, yeah, I think that's a great point. Especially for that team, and I think that's really where they can improve, but they also excelled at the same time. They were straight up slang, and having Alumni as their coach and being able to give them that wisdom and that a little bit of strategy for the objective game types. I know they definitely lost out to CLG on those, as everyone did. But I think having a little bit of seniority and having the veteran leadership for those young guys is key. But as we move through a few of these other teams, there's some guys out here that I could definitely see being poached for other teams. We were talking about Penguin a little bit earlier. It'd be interesting to see if he sticks with Elevator, moves on. And you look at Epsilon, the one Europe team that ended up taking. Well, what'd they take? They were the one team that got into the Worlds, and you got Jimbo. he was huge for Epsilon, so it'll be interesting to see if anyone's able to poach him and bring him over to North America. And then Optic, they as it sits right now, they got Flamesword and Maniac. Lifestyle and Assault are Lifestyle and who was the fourth on their team? I can't think of this time.
Well, he's gone anyway, so.
Yeah, Assault is on Cloud9. So anyway, they got Flamesword and Maniac, and then Team Envious, they got Mikwen and Pistola. So there are 5 free agents as it sits. We got Nated, Commonly, Kratos, Ogre 2, and Arcanum. I'm sure there's going to be so much more shuffling before the Halo Pro League starts up. And I mean, the big thing in my mind is are any of these guys setting up teams to compete with CLG besides Evil Geniuses? Or are they kind of just going for second place? I mean, it'll be interesting to see what kind of shakes out.
Right. No, and that's a great point. And I guarantee you we will not have another we won't have another final boss here. I definitely, I'll call it now. Not just going to reference the X Games and Evil Genius is stepping it up and taking down CLG at that point in time, because that was the same team. But if you look at the way Halo 5 is built and the way it's grown in the past couple of months, strategies have changed, jumps have changed, all these and I think that's what CLG has. CLG has some of the rawest. Just the rawest talent. Like, they know all the jumps, they know all of the tricks, and to a lot of people they'd be like, oh, that's something so simple, but they really do leverage those and really put themselves at like a higher advantage. And if you put that and you're just on point on that day, you're not going to lose that tournament. But I have seen so many upsets in this past season that I guarantee you somebody's going to go back to the locker room and they're going to turn on the film and they're going to stay there for a week and they're going to figure out how to beat CLG.
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt. Honestly, you see what Denial did in regionals. They took them to 6 games. This team out of absolutely nowhere, and they took them to 6 games. I give them more time. There's definitely going to be someone that's going to be able to push them.
Yep. Halo 5 is your game to lose. If you've got that skill, and CLG, I can see them having a little bit too much confidence, and it's really about mistakes. If you're properly set up and you're doing the right role, you're communicating with your team, chances are they're not going to break your setup. It depends on what game type you're playing, of course, but Strongholds is a very obvious one. If you're set up, if you've got blue and basement held down, and you've got railgun on the rig, you're guaranteed 30 points. Yeah. And breaking those setups and stuff, that's all about patience, and it's all about like timing it out to be at the same moment. I think that CLG is actually just so fast that they're operating at the same time. So you're going to find these teams that are going to come up and they're going to learn how to breathe. They're going to learn how to take that quick moment, that the person that first spawns, instead of just walking in again and trying to like sweep up kills and break that setup, they're going to wait. They're going to sit down maybe in bunker or wherever you spawn on rig. Obviously you can tell I've had a couple of nightmare games spawning in bunker over and over, and then just being like, guys, we need to stop. We need to just push out together. And you're going to really see that get better and better and better, and then you'll watch that team synergy of even these undercard-esque teams really step up. Like you said, Denial, like they did great obviously in the World Championship, but you'll see a lot more teams like that next season.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, having those nightmare scenarios. I can't tell you how many times Matty, you and I have been with Cat, and he's not on, and James, for you haven't talked to him or play with him, but he's very good. He's individually skilled, but there's times where he goes off on his own. He goes straight to slay, and it's like,
a little bit lone wolf.
Hold on, we need to get together as a team right now. We're getting poached one at a time here, and but yeah, I mean, we totally feel you on that.
And that's one of those cool things. It's chemistry, right? And it's learning. A player like that, there's a lot of them out there. I can't tell you how many sit-down conversations I've had with players, and I'm like, listen, you are good. You're better than me. Like you have the raw skill to take teams to heights beyond even your comprehension. If you just wait for your teammates, and this is actually a story that comes back from the fall of Reach, and I love digging into lore and making it a really good comparison to what's going on in the real in the Halo community. But if you look back in that book, John had when they had the first test with, I believe it was Linda and Fred, and they were on his team, and he just plowed through everybody, and he made it up to the top of the mountain. And remember, the rules were the last team the team that finishes last doesn't get food that night. And John had started off this race by pushing down Linda and Fred and then just flying through, and he was for his age at that time, just the most skilled and crafty guy. And he made it to the top, waited. And of course, who came up last was Linda and Fred. And they went without food because John had to learn that lesson. He had to learn to wait for your teammates, to support your teammates. And of course, you read the rest of the book and you watch him grow as that character. And I use that story with my younger players to kind of get them excited about breathing, about being that person that's taking the higher road and not just going in there thinking you're going to catch the overkill exterm every time.
Right. No, that's a great story. I love that relationship. And it's nice to be able to take. So a lot of time, Matt and I talk about comparing other sports that we've played. So we've played a lot of soccer. We've played, I've played hockey. He's played other sports as well, basketball thing. Yeah, I mean, we've all played a lot of sports, so we relate a lot of that terminology, a lot of those comparisons into Halo because it makes sense for us. But I love hearing your angle where you talk about taking the lore in those stories, because for people that may not have very much of a background in traditional sports, that really resonates because that really draws them into the game, that draws them into the story. And it's like this character that you look up to, Master Chief. I mean, this is probably one of the coolest video game characters in all of video games. I mean, he has such an amazing backstory, an amazing, amazing lore that goes along.
He's iconic,
with him. So iconic, and I mean, for some people that just totally clicks, and that's really cool to hear you talk about it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean that double resonates with me because I didn't play sports growing up.
It's perfect.
I play flag football and rugby now and all these like nice adult club sports, but I didn't play a single sport. My sport was Halo in high school. And I'm not too I didn't dig too far down into the lore. I've got a couple of favorite stories. I still have the last, what's the most recent book, guys? The Last Light.
Don't ask me. I honestly haven't read up on it.
I gotta read it. Yeah, don't tell Jessica Shea. She's gonna kill me. But no, I've got those books, and gosh, man, I really wish I had the time to read all the lore because it's an amazing storyline, and it teaches a lot of lessons. I mean, that's what books are for, right? You want to be inspired, and you want to use those stories, whether they be from real sports heroes like Michael Jordan. I'm from Chicago, or fictional heroes like Master Chief. Like you take those and you can translate them into understanding stories, and you will feel it as a player. It'll click. You'll spawn one time and you'll just stop, and you'll realize like my teammates are still on spawn. If I move up now, I'm going to get picked off. Then they're going to get picked off. But if I wait, maybe even behind this corner, it's not camping. It's just waiting. And then you just wait for your teammate to spawn, and then you move together as a unit. I've had so many of those magic moments. So much talent get thrown into a pot. Make sure you can get them all organized, and then once they like hit that moment together, it just all clicks.
Right.
And then once that becomes natural, then you see speed picking up. Then you see crazy things starting to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you start to see the results from it, then it's like, oh yeah, he was telling us something that made sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Not the crazy old guy.
Yeah, right. All right, so enough about the Pro League. So let's talk a little bit about what we can all participate in, those new big team battle maps and the new Griffball courts. So 343 went ahead and did something awesome, dropped all of this new content on us kind of unexpectedly. So we're all kind of waiting for the Ghost of Meridian DLC to come out, and all of a sudden we get 6 new big team battle maps and a bunch new Griffball courts, and it's so amazing. Like I was kind of just scrolling through Twitter and saw this tweet come out from Halo, and it was just like, holy shit, like really, this is all out now and you didn't tell us that it was coming. Like, I love that, and I can't wait to see if they start to unveil more things like that, because I mean, that's such a treat. I mean, we have the dependable DLC, but having this stuff is really cool. I mean, did you see this coming, Matty? Like, did you like expect any of this to drop?
No, absolutely not. I mean, like you said, we were waiting around kind of thing. You texted us a little group message that we have, and you're like, new big team battle maps. And you're like, I think next text was like, and it's like a bunch of old maps that they remade and are awesome and stuff like that. Like, sweet, that's pumped. And then we got on and we were ready to go and stuff. And we just out of nowhere, and it was awesome. It's like no promo, like, hey, look what we're doing. We're kind of a big deal. We're awesome. We're giving you stuff. No, we're just going to give it to you.
Yeah.
In the midst of the Halo World Championship ramp up, like That's cool, and that's that integrity that we really wanted to see. And 343 is making it known to the community. They are delivering. Yeah. They are doing this, and they're doing it right. Halo has definitely gone through some changes, with Reach and 4, and we've all learned. And I think that this is it, guys. Like, this is definitely 5 has been revolutionary since day one. We haven't even had any major mods to the playlist. They delivered. They did an amazing job hiring all those gents on the 343 Pro team, and it's just really, really cool to watch them do stuff like this and deliver treats, because now that integrity is there, and it's like, all right, I can count on 343 to do this.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to the game.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is and I think the most difficult thing for the community to understand at this point is you'll see all of these really fantastic Forge maps. You'll go into it in a custom game. You're like, man, this map is fantastic. Why hasn't 343 released it yet? And not having the knowledge of what they have to do through testing and figuring out how it works. I think we lost James here. Are you still on the? We lost him here. We're gonna take a quick break here. as I kind of went down in my little conversation there. I was on a roll. But right. we're gonna take a little break, get him back in here.
Oh, he's back. Yay.
Put me back in, Coach. Put me back in.
There he is.
I'm sorry. It's probably because I have like 32 tabs in Google opened.
That was me last week.
Problem.
So.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, so I was kind of just going on a little bit about the expectation. I think a lot of the community sees these maps. You can pull them down from the file share and play a custom game. You'll jump right in and you'll say, man, this map looks fantastic. So, Alter, for example, which is a remake of Sandtrap by Wyvern Zoo, and it's fantastic. It is so true to the original, but I got to say, probably a month after Forge released, Kat and I hopped in that exact same map, and it looked so good. We were like, why isn't this out yet? Why hasn't 343 put it out? But, all of the testing and everything that they have to do to get it into a spot where there's no glitching, there's no spawn camping or spawn trapping, and just to a playable state. Not understanding what goes into that can be a little frustrating for the community. I think about that a little bit because, there's so much talk out there of those things about 343 following through with that. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, James, about just kind of being able to depend on them, and they're, accountable for what they do and they deliver.
Yep. And they're taking the time to actually make sure the community is like you said, being treated properly with those spawn camps and with the playability of the map, because definitely 343 has a lot more gears. They have so many more moving parts with this Halo 5 that it's really tough to make sure that it's a nice, smooth game per map. And they did an amazing job on almost everything. And I've seen a lot of bugs that they've fixed like that, and I'm just really, really impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we go through these other maps here, for those who haven't had a chance to get into Big Team Battle, maybe this will get you in there. Another map is Viking. It's a remake of Valhalla, so I know that's one that so many of us absolutely love. That was such a fun Big Team Battle map from, what was that, Halo 3? 3. Yep. And so that remake is by No God Anywhere. We'll just roll through these. Boulevard by Alex Quit. Eagle Square by Shifty Time. Fracture by Squally Da Beans, and Scavenger by Commander Coulson. I've had a chance to play on all of these except for Eagle Square, and I have to say they are all so good. They are all so much fun to play on. Sandtrap is fantastic. Boulevard is a total different feel. I mean, all these maps, the Forgers did so good of putting in the aesthetic pieces that they just feel like they were made by 343. I mean, especially Scavenger. That map is so beautiful. I don't know how this guy did it, Commander Coulson. He had to put so much time into creating that map, because it is gorgeous, I gotta say.
Yeah, you give a creative guy the right tool set, and they'll be there forever. I know a couple of forgers myself. We've done a few maps. He remade Ivory Tower, that 343, and on Friction, who is actually a tester at 343. He created Ivory Tower, and he's got one of his own personal maps, and we love doing those on the show, just displaying those community maps, because there is a whole lot of talent. And honestly, what's the biggest thing that can help get those community maps into 343's hands? is already pre-play testing them. Maybe they have the time to make a sign off, right? But what I really want to have the Pro Battle League do is help get these community maps onto our stream, onto the Thursday night shows, and allow really competitive teams to play really competitive game types and see how they play out, and then just have those forgers go for the next week and polish it up. Maybe we'll play it again.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's throwing it into that competitive scene where maybe you don't want to take it to the top leagues where they're trying, where 343 is trying to put it all on the line with HCS. You don't want to throw it out there, but I mean, to be able to be a proving ground essentially for these maps, to where they can find those bugs, find those glitches, find spawns that aren't working out right. I mean, that's such a cool idea.
Yep, they definitely might turn into something. And this might be a little bit off topic, but I love having those options for players of all different skill levels to maybe do like a throwback, like tournament or a league, like Halo 2 BRs are back in. Why don't we have Sanctuary ready to go? We'll play CTF on Sanctuary until eventually it catches on to be so much where it's like, yeah, like we do want that back. Like, do we want Ball on Guardian back? Probably not. But I mean, let's have a discussion about the Halo 3 BR on Pit. Like, there's so many different opportunities. With Halo 5 and with that Forge mode, I cannot wait to see what happens over the next year. Summer vacation is going to come around, and there's going to be some pretty talented young guys and girls developing some sick content. Yeah. And I love those Mongoose maps too, like all that stuff. I can't wait.
All those racetracks. I remember, Rocket Race was so much fun to play, and I was looking at Duquesne. He was working on. He was working on Rainbow Road or something like that. I can't remember what he was working on, something crazy for a Mongoose race map. And it's just like you said, give the tools to these creative guys. They will think of anything. And God, I love the forging system. Kat talked about it way back when we first released it. He tried to put like a wall down and was like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. But you give it to the right people, they will do amazing, amazing things. And I think we're just barely starting to scratch the surface of what's possible.
Yep. Couldn't agree with you more.
So the other things that were added were some Griffball courts, and there was a bunch that were added. So we've got Bloodsport, Blue vs. Red 2003, Crow's Court, Griff Temple, Frontier, High Charity, Sandwich, the Arbiter's Court, and Underpass. So that was... those were done by a bunch of different forgers. Jason Zero, the 222V, I'm the Unicorn. We're just going to roll through these real quick. There's a bunch of them. XNFX, Monsta, and RBG, Persian, Caustic, Kirby, Captain Punch 374, Creative Force, Dark Prince 909, Gus BR, and Katanga. There's a lot of forgers that were putting these maps together. Some fantastic names.
Yeah, definitely.
But so cool.
So do you mind if I ask, where do you get all of your content from? Because I remember watching one of the 343 promoted videos, and that's where I got, it's Foxy something, had released some really awesome maps, and so I downloaded off those gamer tags. But you seem to have a list. Do you have a particular place that you go?
So
is
for
there a forum?
These names that I've been finding, and this intel was from the Halo Waypoint. So it was from one of the weekly updates that Bravo puts out. But a lot of the time, I find so much of what I talk about on this podcast from the Halo subreddit on Reddit. I love going on there, and there's also a Forge subreddit. So people always put up their maps, looking for people to play test, just throwing out their new creations.
That's really, really good to know. And there's a lot of outlets and a lot of avenues. And even myself, like I try to find new players in new cities. And you'd mentioned earlier the Beyond Entertainment forums, awesome for that. The Halo Waypoint, they have done an amazing amount of work on that site. And obviously the Xbox Smart Glass app is the one I use to actually keep in direct communications with some of these players. But yeah, that and the Halo Reddit, definitely I underutilize that for sure.
I gotta say I'm more of a lurker than a poster, but the few times that I have posted, especially putting this podcast up, the community really is, it's a very active community and a very, they're very welcoming. They're very open to new people and new contributors and new content. When we put this up here, I was a little bit nervous anytime you put something together, you put so much time and so much of your heart into, you're a little nervous to throw it out into the wild, especially a place like Reddit. You throw it out there, they can say anything.
The tallest of grasses.
The tallest of grasses, the fiercest of lions. You're really thrown right into the lion pit when you go out there. So I was a little bit nervous, but I mean, we got some really great feedback, really great reception. It's helped us shape what we do, especially with YouTube. And I mean, it's a really good place, and I really recommend, if you are into Halo or Forge, to go check out those subreddits and be active, because the few times I have been, it's been very well received.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
So what do you think about all these maps, Matt? I mean, we haven't gotten a chance to get into Griffball. I know, James, you were talking about Griffball Hub a little bit earlier before we hopped on with DJ Blue PDX, and I follow him on Twitter, so I had to get his name right. I know I was going to dice it a little bit there, but the big team battle maps. What are your impressions so far?
I mean, I've had very little, interaction with any of them, to be honest. We got a couple of games. I think I played 2 games. They're both on Sandtrap, but it was fun. It's great to see. It's something that we always like, and I don't know. I think we're a little. I don't know. Maybe we have some nostalgia going on as far as like our love for Halo 2 maps, especially. Where it's kind of like, okay, well, just keep bringing those back. Go ahead. Yeah, we'll take it again.
Even if you had some of your most frustrating games.
Oh,
yeah. Absolutely.
There's still so many memories attached to it. I mean, I remember with MCC when they brought back Warlord, I absolutely hated that map because I was terrible at it, and I still am terrible at it. But I just loved it because it's like, yeah, Halo 2, or like whatever it was. It was one of those Halo 2 maps. Like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, I don't even care. Like, I just want to play it.
Halo 1.
It was Halo 1?
Halo 1, yeah.
Oh, my God. See, that's how much I didn't like that map. I didn't even remember it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the classic.
I was never any good at it.
It's chaotic, that's for sure.
It's very chaotic.
But yeah, those maps definitely they bring back some nostalgia, and I mean, Sandtrap kind of makes me miss the Brute Chopper a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my God, that thing was so badass when you're rolling around in that.
So much fun. The Tokyo Drift was pretty real. But yeah, those like you had mentioned, Matt, I haven't had much time to jump on there or in any of the Griffball courts, but I've seen them. They look beautiful, and it's cool to kind of see little variations on games that keep everything pretty fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've talked a lot about Pro Battle League. You've mentioned it here or there, and that's a lot of what we want to talk about on this episode for. Our weekly intel piece. This is something that we do every single week. It's really the bulk of the episode. It's something that we take a deep dive into, and Pro Battle League, having you here, we can ask you any questions that come up, and we'd love to learn all about it. So this week's weekly intel is going to be straight focused on Pro Battle League. So let's get into it and learn a lot more from James Fury.
Absolutely. In anticipation of that, I'm going to plug my laptop in so it doesn't die.
All right.
Yeah, right back from a word from our sponsors.
All right, cool. So let's get back into it here. So.
And we're good.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is going to be, the weekly intel. Thanks for sticking with us here. This is really going to be a very exciting topic. We got James Fury here to tell us all about Pro Battle League. So let's kind of start off right at the top. For people that have no idea or are not familiar with Pro Battle League, what is it all about?
Absolutely. So Pro Battle League is all about regional rivalry and grassroots gaming. And it is about growing from your local community, which that's where all of us are from. If we're gamers now, that means we were gamers like 10, 12 years ago when we didn't have internet connection and when things were the coolest when you got together and played together. And playing in person is always one of those super nostalgic things and something that a lot of people say that they really want to do and then never execute on. So we combined that mentality with the opportunities that Halo 5 has really brought to the table with as an esports platform, as a game that can be played and that can be bigger and better than even the League of Legends community. And that's so bold to say, but I'm more than happy to stick to my guns on that, because I know that the soul of Halo really dives down back to a lot of people's roots, and we're in the process of revitalizing it as a culture and as a community, and I'm really excited about that. And what Pro Battle League does is host we do a couple of different things, but currently our biggest way that we connect with the community is through live events at the Microsoft stores, soon to be guaranteed near you, and allow players to come to a very neutral, exciting venue and have an opportunity to network, to play, and to experience some of those awesome feelings that we all had when we just got together over something that we all enjoy.
Awesome. So do you have like set up teams right now that kind of come together in different cities?
Yeah, so we had big dreams a couple of months ago, big dreams and no teams. Now we've got bigger dreams and a few teams.
All right.
It's if anybody that's been an aspiring Halo or video game professional that is revolving around a team knows how difficult it really is. It's tough to get these guys together and to coordinate, whether it comes from actual, gameplay and styles and strategies to real world stuff like timing and dealing with conflict. Those are really tough. Those are big barriers that players come across. And so what we've done in the past couple of months is reach out to players individually, and help them and coach them through that process of getting to know people, and also doing the majority of the legwork on the marketing front to find those free agents, which we all know there's a ton of. If you go on the forums, if you're on Twitter, half the people's usernames, if they're excited about maybe joining a team, you see Joshua FA, and it's just like, we know what that means, but no one's going to reach out to you and help you manage. Like, you have to be the Halo pros that are where they're at. They're there for a reason, because they grinded and they did everything that needed to do to get to the position. And not to say that that's not what everybody should do, but there's a lot of people out there that definitely deserve that opportunity and maybe could just use a little bit of coaching and management. And so the Pro Battle League sees these opportunities of bringing these players in, forming some of the teams. And in Seattle, we do have about 3 teams. One that's set, solid, they're a team of 4, and they practice on a regular basis. And a couple of the other ones that do come together on those Thursday night scrims at twitch.tv/Pro Battle League and at the Microsoft Live events. Portland also has a pretty awesome team centered around a guy named Active, very, very impressive player. And then a couple of awesome Griff ballers that are down there as well. And like you asked, do these teams play each other? Yeah, like we've had a couple of really successful Microsoft events these past couple of months, and now that we've got some of the technical savvy nailed down, we've had these teams compete against each other. And the Seattle and the Bellevue team are just a 25-minute car ride away. And usually I go and visit one venue and say hi to everybody, and then I'll go over to the venue that I'm going to actually manage.
Right.
And we've got the live casting. We've got DJ Blue PDX, who's up there on the big screen at all the Microsoft stores. We're streaming on Twitch. We've got live games going, and it's that regional rivalry. It's Seattle versus Bellevue, the East Side versus the West Side, and whoever wins that gets to play Portland. And we're building teams down in California. Our biggest event is going to be in San Fran this April 3rd. We're going to try to get as many people from the 405th out there, and we're trying to get as many people out there to compete, as well as just community spectators and just community gamers. We always make sure we let everybody play when they do come to one of these events, but it is really cool to watch some of the really competitive players go up against the other cities on the West Coast for now.
Absolutely. So even if you're not on a team and you show up, you're able to hop on and play a game?
You're absolutely able to hop on and play a team, and it just depends. What are you there for? Are you a free agent? Are you looking for a team of 4? Then you come and talk to the team managers. We'll help you get in touch. We'll give you gamer tags. We'll get you on Facebook and in the right chat messages, not just the forums and all that stuff. It needs to be another level of personalization in order to get these teams actually, you got to get them kickstarted, right? You got to prime it a little bit on some of these characters, get across some communication barriers, and get those guys out into the tall grass, and let them start running arena and let that team chemistry build. But if you're just looking to come because you love Halo and maybe one of your best friends is really good at Halo, what we're really trying to do is build such a unique and awesome player base that we can have, and this is a big dream of mine, tournaments inside of each tier. We've already got it set up in Halo. There's bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and onyx. Yep. And I would love the opportunity to host tournaments where only players that are ranked in silver and bronze can play. And I guarantee you, if they want to commit some of their time to playing, against some of those other players, take a little bit of coaching. There's no way they play in that bronze or silver tournament more than 2 months. I'll make sure those guys are golds and platinums in no time, because we know Halo is a very teachable game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you make a great point there. I think that's fantastic, because that's really an area that doesn't get focused on at all. Like, if you're not diamond or above, people are just like, yeah, whatever, like scrub, like it doesn't matter. So being able to give those people the attention to grow and improve their game, I think that's so important. And we talked about this before we hopped on. Maddie and I went over to Gamers for Giving. We weren't able to get a team together, unfortunately, but we were intimidated a little bit, to go up against these guys, because for one, going into Michigan with how strong the LAN scene is, and these guys know each other, they're gaming, they're teaming against each other all the time. It's intimidating, because you don't know where you're going to shake out, if you're just going to get stomped or if you might have a little bit of a showing. So being able to know that you are going up against people that are in your same tier, I think that's breaks down so many barriers.
Yeah. Also local too, right? So, I mean, or relatively local, which adds a whole other level to it, as far as like, breaking down that barrier of, okay, is this team coming over from? We met people at the Gamers for Giving from Chicago that they played together, and they had a team from Chicago, and they were coming over there to play in the tournament. Like, okay, well, that's kind of legit.
You've committed, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I don't like about that is chances are those guys aren't going to stick around to help you out. Right. And that's not their they're not obligated to do that. But the cool thing about gaming locally, like you're saying, Matt, is that you get the opportunity to meet these guys, and that you're going to see more than once or twice. You're going to see them every month on the first Sunday of every month at the Microsoft Store, and you can ask them. And then I've got players that I've coached, and I've said some of the smallest little pieces of advice. And then I've had guys come back in a month or two and just been like, you changed my gameplay. Not blowing smoke, but if you really, you tell somebody, you just see them do one thing, like you're just standing behind them. You're like, hey man, like, can I give you some feedback? And you do, and you kind of open their eyes, and all of a sudden it's like, your Pokemon is evolving right now. Like, holy moly. Like it all clicks. And so that's really, really cool to see that. And Matt, yeah, that's why gaming locally there's so many benefits to it, and that's one of the big ones.
So how many tiers do you have? Different tiers kind of established right now for that teams can kind of place into?
Established, yes. Filled, not quite. So we do regions. So we've got the Striker region, which is up the greater Seattle area.
Okay.
And then we have things called the Reserve Clubs. So I've got the Seattle Emerald Rain, the North Sound Aces, the Lake Washington Tribe, and the South King Rockets. So what that is the greater Seattle area has these 4 reserve club teams, really good teams that practice and play on a very consistent basis, and they're the guys, they're like your champions, right? Like they might be Onyx like 1700, and the people that play on the Striker Pro team to compete against the other teams, the other, like the greater California team or like the greater Oregon team, those guys are going to be your champion level guys, or your CSR 2000 plus.
Okay.
Which means, just as we've talked about, Halo is a very well balanced game. Those 1700s can easily put up a good fight against any champions or what may be it. But that structure hasn't seen itself like populated heavily yet. We're close to doing it in Seattle, and we've got a couple of teams down in Portland. And as we grow, we'll see that kind of just more steadily develop a nice pyramid structure of like your talent up here, and maybe you might we don't put any legislation on who has to come from what team, or it has to be one player from a reserve club, but it's very possible that the 4 different teams that I just mentioned have their captain is their best. And so when the state of Washington goes to play against the state of California, it's really the captains of the 4 teams that come together and play that. And that's like the ultimate, like that's a crisp story that looks really cool. And the way that I put it, the 4 players up here, the best, they'll be playing together very often. They'll be playing together offline. Now, their reserve club teams, they'll be playing together on Thursday night, on the first Sunday. And that's when it kind of develops. I always had this vision when I was when I was up, when the Doritos Combine came out with MLG, where the pros weren't allowed to play. So we developed an amateur bracket. And I think 343 is kind of working through this as well. Imagine if every pro team sponsored a particular team of 4 or a team of 3 that they would play on in some sort of casual-esque tournament. That that strategy, in my opinion, could really create this waterfall support approach to Halo as an esport. And so what we're doing is we're actually just coming from the bottom up, and we're doing that developing, grabbing anybody from any skill level, making sure we nurture them through their Halo experience, making sure that anybody that comes to an event that, maybe doesn't have anybody in their skill range, that doesn't, that doesn't have that level of competition, doesn't have a good time. It's very, that's a problem we come up against. And we got to make sure it's like, hey, you came to this event, like it's basically a party, and you've got food, you've got friends. That's all you're here for. There happens to be Halo, and happens to be epic, and you might have some incredible games, but really it's more about the community. And as long as you can keep those people there throughout, it's probably a year to 2 years to where we can ever have like Silver League tournaments. But if you keep those people there and they're excited to come just because they're excited to see you, that's when you're going to see the community build from the bottom up, and you're going to see that support structure. That's when you're going to see these prize pools go from 2.5 million to 10 million to 100 million. Like these, and those pro players, they deserve that, and they're the ones that should be essentially paying for maybe those community members that come to the stores, and they're the ones that buy downloadable content or buy like team swag. I can see that happening, like maybe sponsored teams, and none of that's in writing. We're not worried about that. We're just worried about building the community right now.
Yeah. So right now, the member team league, is there any teams forming around that? Is that something that you're still trying to build upon?
Yeah, that's the goal right now, is to build those reserve club teams.
Okay.
Because that adds another depth to regional rivalry. I'm more than happy to if somebody in California were to challenge the state of Washington and say, I got 4 California guys that want to play your 4 best Washington guys, let's have that be like the feature, best of 5 on the stream on Thursday. I certainly wouldn't back down from that challenge. I think that would be really exciting. But in all reality, you want to build from the inside out with something like this. So you build those reserve club teams. You find it a little bit easier to get kids that are literally like down the block from one another sometimes, and that's really cool when that happens. And then you just give them the opportunity to kind of game together, and then they have their weekly like schedule-ish kind of thing, and most of them just play Halo on their own. And so you're just adding people to friends list, and all of a sudden you've got these people that typically would play Halo on their own with no mic, actually like getting text messages from people in their community because they met them at a local event saying, hey, you want to run some Halo with me? And they actually put their headset on, and all of a sudden it's like Halo 2 again, and
that's awesome.
The world has changed. And that's those subtle passive pluses that the Pro Battle League is really looking to create. And then, at the same time, we're directly focusing on building those reserve club teams, and we've got team managers and captains, and it's very well structured for how little time we've actually been doing this. But you do something awesome, and you get champions that come out of the woodwork and they step up to the plate. And this is all volunteer work. Nobody gets paid. We're looking into sponsorship and doing bigger things, and maybe just the resources to go nationwide, to go global. We actually do have some guys in Scotland and in Europe who found me on Twitter in like dead of night, and they're like, whoa, what's going on? Like messaging me like while I'm at work, and it's like their 7 p.m. and it's really, really exciting to see that kind of come to fruition, and to watch those teams get formed.
So which cities have you opened up right now? So you talk a lot about Seattle, Portland, and some cities down in LA or down in California. What all cities do you have on the West Coast, and are there plans to come east at all?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question, Brendan. And I know you're just excited because you want me out there sooner.
Right.
So a couple of things. I do have a champion over in Detroit, an old friend, not a Halo player, but he's the kind of guy that I can trust to go into the Microsoft store and be a representative. The cities I have now, so you can be excited is what I'm telling you.
Perfect. I love it.
Soon, very soon. And so what we've got set up right now, for sure. And let's just talk about the 3-month roadmap. April 3rd is our next event, this upcoming Sunday. So from 1 to 6 p.m. on Pacific Standard Time, we've got 8 Xboxes set up, ready to play at Seattle University Village store, at the Bellevue Microsoft store in the mall, in Portland, Oregon, San Francisco. That's our big one. We're going to have some really important Microsoft execs there. And then we'll be over in Santa Clara, is actually doing a weekly Halo event for 2 hours, and then they're extending it on April 3rd for the whole 5 hours. And then we'll be in Century City in Los Angeles, and then we'll also have Canoga Park open, probably just a couple of machines. We want most of the people, because they're so close, to go to the LA event. We'd rather see that a little bit more filled up.
Sure.
Until, of course, it gets a little overwhelming. Then we just spill over into Canoga. It's a great model. I've also got on the roster, relatively unofficially, and by force, Houston.
Nice.
I had gotten in communication with pretty much all of the CDSs, which are the community development specialists, the people that are in charge of running events. At the store. That's their role, is they host and they manage the events they can run at the store. Okay. Everything from Girl Scouts being there to us. So what we've got is Houston going to be setting up their machines. I have an internal Microsoft Store champion, and I've got an external champion, and that is all I need to open up a store. If I have the CDS's approval, if I have an internal Microsoft Store champion that knows what Wi-Fi is and can locate the games boxes, then we're good to go, as long as I have a community developer that I can trust to just be able to text and take selfies and promote the event and just be in communication. Because as these new stores open up, yes, it will get easier and easier, and the Band-Aid will get less and less sticky as we rip it off every different event we do. But each store does have about a 2 to 3 month curve. Okay. Of what we expect to see 8+ players really dedicated and ready to go. I expect it to grow exponentially as we get out east. Sure. But for now, we're really just building credibility in each community and really revitalizing the Halo community inside of each city. So those are the ones that are set. I have Charlotte, North Carolina, extremely, extremely excited, because their Microsoft Store champion happens to be a complete Halo nut.
Perfect.
They'll be May 1st. I've got the New York store, which is a flagship store, 3 stories high, with 30 games units with Xboxes installed and updated, ready to go probably May 1st. And so that'll be one of the big ones.
Nice.
And I think we're talking. We have a community champion in Orlando. We're trying to figure out if that's really the best city to be doing stuff in. There's a lot of other places around Florida, obviously, and Atlanta, Georgia is where that community champion happens to be from. So we might use his resources to kind of open that up, because that'll make a good regional rival to Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm from Chicago, so I'll be getting there as soon as I can. Apparently, they're extremely saturated with gaming events, so they've asked us to hold off for a little bit, which is totally fine. I told them I'm happy to help, and I'll promote events for you if you guys need, as we transition in, and we might see something there in the middle or the end of the summer. And I've got one of my friends that is going to see the CDS at the Microsoft Store in Minneapolis, which is the Mall of America.
There you go.
Yeah, store. So imagine playing your finishing up your series and then jumping on your victory roller coaster. Right. That would be
there you go.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of cities on the map, and I'll be honest with you, that's probably triple what we thought like last month.
Dang.
And we just happened to have an amazing conference call with all these CDSs. We have the amazing Margie, who is working out of the Bellevue store. She's our CDS champion of champions, and she's done an incredible job supporting us and also introducing us to these new CDSs. So we'll be in lots of stores, and the game plan to be out east is probably, if I could ambitiously say, October.
Oh, there you go.
See how the summer goes, because I can see a lot of players really picking this up during the summertime. A lot of those younger guys on summer breaks and stuff like that. So we'll see a big campaign. Maybe even try to hit some of the college campuses during the summertime where things are a little less hectic. Develop a relationship there, and then once the school year starts, boom! It's Pro Battle League, and it's like it's been every year. Yeah. So I hope that's your question.
No, it's fantastic. It's so ambitious, and I absolutely love it. And I think it's great to be able to see this organization as almost a facilitator, because for so long and for so many of these new kids getting into Halo is an online game, right? They didn't know any of the LAN part of it, and they didn't know the joy of getting together physically with these people in a location and being able to game, aside from maybe what they're seeing now from like the pro leagues, but being able to facilitate that so that they can have a place where they can get their buddies together, get a team together, come together and play some other team. I mean, I think once people start to dive into that and catch that bug, it's gonna spread like fire. I mean, like wildfire.
And I really appreciate that. And the only thing that they might not totally appreciate the LAN, but there's a lot of different reasons why we can get them out there. And it might be just as simple as free pizza and a T-shirt, and it might get somebody out of their out of their house and say, hey, like, I'll go check this out. And the thing is, like, how can you tell somebody you're going to meet one of your best friends for the rest of your life at one of these events? You can't make that promise,
right? Yeah.
But I'd make a bet right now. You see a lot of relationships coming out of the PBL. I can't tell you the friends I've made so far.
I have no doubt.
And I mean, you guys officially have been added to the list.
Oh yeah.
But it was just really awesome opportunities for these players, for these competitors, for the spectators, for all these people to really get to get connected over the amazing game and community that is Halo.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it many times on this podcast, and we mentioned it earlier. Matty and I played a lot of traditional sports, mainly soccer, growing up together, and you go into battle, air quotes, go into battle with somebody, and you work together on a team, and you form such a strong bond, stronger than anything else, in such a short amount of time. Absolutely. I mean, everything translates from traditional sports because it's all teamwork, it's all communication. It's things that if you just met somebody and had a conversation with, you're not going to form that same bond in such a short amount of time unless you were working together on a common goal like that. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, you forge such deep relationships that way. And I remember, when we first started getting into Halo 2 online, I don't even know how many people we had on our friends list that I did not even know.
Oh yeah.
We just knew their gamer tag, but we wanted to play with them all the time because they were good. We played together and they were funny. Like they're good friends. Like they're like online friends.
I couldn't tell you the relationships that I've built just because of Halo and the friends that I know across the world, across the states, and guys that as I got older, when I was a kid, I didn't have the kind of funds, but people that as you get older, like you really start learning more about their lives. You friend them on Facebook. You basically feel like you know them more than you know your like own brothers sometimes. And you get excited about, turns out I'm going to be going over to Boston, Massachusetts. I know 3 people there. I need to go on a conference for work, but 3 of my best gaming buddies just happen to be living, and they know exactly where they're going to take me out. It's going to be a great, and it's just an experience you can't really get anywhere else.
No, absolutely not. So, gosh, thank you so much for walking us through all this. This is fantastic, and I'm so excited to see how this grows. Is there anything we missed? Something that you're like, man, I hope you asked me this question. Is there something that we missed that you just gotta share about Pro Battle League, or we covered it?
Right. No. The thing is, there's so much to cover in the future, in the dreams that we're building right now. It's really about the excitement of what is it going to be. What is this going to turn into? Because we don't know. We've got the dream. I've done this before. I've built like an awesome organization inside of my college on a much smaller scale, but it's really changed lives and it's done amazing things. The only thing that I'd really love to cover is the openness of Pro Battle League, and of being excited to not just bring in players and spectators, and we're big on esportsmanship, really big on esportsmanship, and we want to see some positivity brought to the youth, some positivity brought to the families of the players. I'm looking for scholarships. I'm down the road. I want to get these players in here. That was my biggest thing. Like I got a ton of student loans I got to pay, and if I definitely was good enough at Halo at that point in time to be sponsored for a scholarship at least. That's one of those opportunities. I grinded out. I told you 10,000 hours. They've already been put in. Now I'm washed up. But yeah, it's really that awesome opportunity to see that. So we are looking for awesome organizations to partner with to help them grow and to help the Pro Battle League grow. And we had spoken offline about Gamers Outreach and those like charity organizations like that. We really want to work with as many people as possible to really bring the community together and to grow and to be like, this is like, for me, it's like, I want to be like, yeah, we did that because of Halo, and maybe to like shove it in the face of everybody that was like, you're spending way too much time playing video games in your life. Than it is to just be like, no, it's not only an amazing experience, the camaraderie is awesome, but it's also an incredible way to stay sharp, right? Like those I got myself through college. I played 2 games of Halo before every test I ever took. I was like, I'm not going to cram. I'm going to let loose. That's going to be my brain's, the hamster starts running faster than to be staring at a piece of paper. So I mean, I think we definitely covered a lot of it. If you guys do have any questions, anybody, please. I mean, I'm sure you guys will give me the link to the YouTube. I'll answer any questions that I can. But I'm on Twitter at JamesFuryNH. Neighborhood Heroes used to be the name of my team whenever I competed in college, and not New Hampshire. Never been to New Hampshire. But yeah, at JamesFuryNH, at PBL Halo is our main Twitter com for the overall organization. Our website is battleleague.com. That's used for mostly just for pictures, and we want to get teams rosters and stuff on there, kind of the way that other sites have been set up to be able to facilitate those teams. Yeah. You can get a lot of good information on that. But yeah, and then other than that, twitch.tv/Pro Battle League is where we are every Thursday night, hopefully to be every Monday night as well. And we'll be casting the April 3rd show from 1 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on twitch.tv/Pro Battle League.
Man,
and
awesome.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
No, thanks for joining us. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, this has been a really, really, really great conversation. I love meeting you, and I love being able to talk about this. Before we sign off here, Matty, do you have any other words?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that when Sergeant over here started, talking about this and started talking about having you on and stuff like that, just kind of, I don't know how excited I was at the idea of Pro Battle Leagues. Honestly, like just the local level of it is just something I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I can't, like, unbelievable. Like, Buffalo is a pretty small city, but I'm like, what if in a year we got something like this in Buffalo, like, and I can go to this, every month, and it's just there. It's like, instead of going to my bowling league, I'm going to go to my Halo league, and like that's something that I feel would just be awesome, and something that I've been craving for a very, very long time with something like Halo. And it's just unbelievable the fact that, doesn't seem that far off, I guess, that doesn't seem like a pipe dream,
I hear you. And it seemed like a dream for a really long time. Like I'd mentioned, I did this in college, and like when I came out, if you ever want a good laugh, you can go onto my Twitter and go all the way back to my pictures. And I created my Twitter so that I could get super hyped about MCC. And well, then MCC happened, and it was a rough start. So there's like 2 or 3 days worth of pictures of like, being really excited, and then nothing. Nothing for a year. I didn't know tweets, nothing. And I wish I knew how many followers I had at that point in time. And then once Halo 5 came out, I was like, all right, jump back on the bandwagon, get on the Twitter sphere. And then obviously that's how I met you guys. It's how I'm meeting a whole lot of people, just getting awesome and getting excited. That's how I got introduced to Pro Battle League. I just blurted out, I live in Seattle. I'm super excited about the Halo community. Like, let's do this. And I was contacted by the Pro Battle League and brought on. And next thing you know, I'm running events. And it was an awesome experience. So I look forward to it growing. I guarantee you we'll be out there probably even sooner than I think. And it'll be exciting to watch the champions come out of the woodwork like your guys' selves, and really like watch the community step up like on its own. Once it gets excited, like we said with the Forge maps, you give the right person the right set of tools and the right canvas, and they'll make something incredible. And that's what we're doing right now. We're making something really incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, if you have any questions, and you want to reach out to James Fury himself, you can find him on Twitter. He mentioned that earlier. Again, we will have that down in the description, so you can kind of find a quick link there. As always, you can email us at espawngaming@gmail.com, or you can find any of us on Twitter. All this information will be down in the description, so that you don't have to memorize it and scroll this down with a pen or paper or whatever. You can always find it down in the description. We'll have it there all the time. But again, James, thank you so much for joining us. This has been This has been a treat, and we really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. This was definitely a great way to end a Monday.
Oh, gosh. Couldn't be better. All righty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
If you want to see it, go watch this YouTube video when we get it up on Wednesday. You can check out this.
It gives you a real good reason to come watch, too. Stroke face. It's rough. I mean,
that's how I looked all weekend, by the way.
That's all